Hi everyone, welcome to this moment. I'm the Diamond Mother Ring, creating this beautiful place for mums. Welcome back everyone, a very warm welcome here in Ireland in our morning and your evening in Sydney. And we're here again to talk about the emotionally powerful mother. And Lisa is going to continue the conversation that we've had over the last couple of weeks where we did key 1, key 2, and we're on to key 3, which is find it. And I'm wondering, what is this we're going to find, Lisa?
Yes.
So
and do we really want to find it?
And do we really want to find it? So we've already pressed pause, and then we've tapped into our moment of pure potential. So then after that, what happened?
Validation. We did. We stepped into why wouldn't we feel like this, and just acknowledging the feeling and being with the feeling, and even doing that for whoever we're with, like validating their feeling and seeing the opportunities. So we step into the emerging process rather than fight that moment. So we've told the mind that this is an opportunity to grow and to take back our power. So the mind, rather than seeing it as a problem and trying to shut down the emotion and fix and get busy and create a dynamic, the mind actually sort of steps back and goes, oh, okay, I'll help you deal with this. So it gets the mind on side by just sort of saying to yourself, this is an opportunity. And now, because it's an opportunity, we can look for what's really going on. That's find it. So very interestingly, with our emotion, we don't often see what's going on underneath because it's just below the level of our conscious awareness. So we think that we have communication problems with our daughters. We think that it's all about them not listening to us or them not hearing what we're saying, but actually it's about what we're feeling underneath that's being activated. It's really not about her not listening to you or not respecting you. It's about what you're feeling in your body that is making you react. The event, whatever she's doing, is just really the activation or the trigger of that. But it's what's going on underneath that if you can find that, you can actually move through it really quickly. Because if you keep trying to fix her, you're not actually going to the root cause of the problem. And so you're never fixing it. And that's the same with everything. So say, for example, you feel anxiety and you're like, I feel anxious. What am I going to do with my anxiety? I want to fix this anxiety. But if you stop for a minute and you acknowledge and validate the anxiety, and then you start to look deeper and do the investigation, you'll actually realize that the anxiety is just a manifestation of an emotional need that hasn't been met. So if you go and try to fix the anxiety, you'll be trying to fix the anxiety for the rest of your life, because there's no point in fixing the anxiety, because actually it's not the anxiety that creates anxiety. It's the underlying emotional need that creates the anxiety. So much more sensible to actually go and deal with that, because then the anxiety lessens and dissolves over time because there's no reason for it to be there. So it's the same with, like, jealousy, for example. If you feel jealous, if you're looking underneath the jealousy, why am I feeling jealous? So this part, this key, is so powerful, because you go to the root cause of what's going on. Our culture and our parents and our society has often taught us that the reason we feel like we do is because of what's happening outside of us. And if we fix that, we'll feel okay. If we do something about our external situation, we'll be okay. But actually, it's the other way around. If we have a look at what it is in us that's being activated and we deal with that first, then we can actually change what's going on outside of us much more effectively, because we're doing that from a position of inner empowerment. The other way around, we're reacting from powerlessness or insecurity or not good enough. So we're feeling all these things. We're trying to fix everything outside of ourselves, And so the outcomes we get are never going to be as good when we're not going to be launching our thoughts, words, and actions from an empowered state. Therefore, the results we're going to get are probably not going to be long lasting, and they're probably not going to be as effective.
Yeah, excellent. It's so true, though, to get to the root cause of the problem, to solve the problem so it won't show up again. And then, that's given you great power in the world, because then you can apply that to every situation and every relationship, so that you've got that inner power. And I think the opposite of that is, if you don't do that, then you see a lot of people wanting to have power over people, and they're trying to control people, and they're trying to manipulate, and they're trying to get their needs met, external needs met, the kind of way. And then it can get very toxic. So I think
we're trying to get our internal needs met in an external way, which becomes toxic, and it becomes needy, and it becomes codependency.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got that, innate inner kind of, I suppose, strength within yourself, then emotional strength, then you don't have to do that. So you're a much more healthy person to be in. You're a healthy person to be in relationship with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the truth is that nobody can actually fix that for us anyway, because it's inside us. It's our feeling state. So I can't get into your body and fix your feeling state. Right. So it's really like, I remember my first relationship, it was like I expected that it was my partner that was responsible for my feeling state. And when he didn't perform in a certain way, or when he was doing what he was doing, it was all his fault that I felt the way I did. And I made him responsible for it, which meant that I had to wait for him to change in order to feel better, which is just, that sucks. And also, it's probably never going to happen. And if it does, it's not going to be good enough, because it doesn't work anyway, because it's my inner state, right? So when I discovered this, I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I don't have to wait for anybody to turn up and do anything. Right here, right now, I can do something about the way I feel and take full responsibility for it. So it doesn't mean that we don't support each other, but it just means that I'm not making somebody else responsible for my emotional well-being. I'm taking complete responsibility for that, which means that I can actually do something about it, and I can feel empowered right now. I don't have to wait for things to change.
Yeah, I love that so much. And actually, it's funny you said that, you were waiting for somebody else to make you happy. And also, for me, it's more like feeling that you should try to make try to make somebody else happy, constantly trying to make somebody who's just not happy. And it's just like, it takes a long time for that to realize. It's a huge lesson to learn. And it's actually when you start to realize that you can't change anybody else, they have to change themselves, and then it's then also kind of avoidance of looking at yourself. Like, why are you looking to want to make this other person happy? You're avoiding your own emotions, and why is there a need to have to do that, and that over responsibility of wanting to, feeling you need, it's your responsibility to make somebody else happy, so it's kind of, it's really, really key, isn't it? It's like balancing out that.
It is absolutely key. And what it does is it really makes us feel this incredible connection with who we really are. We begin to really know ourselves. We begin to be able to manage our emotional responses. We choose who to hang out with and where to go. And our life just becomes incredible as a result of it, because we are more not in control in a bad way, but we are sort of more in control because we're working with our emotions. And that finding that what's in us, it's reacting like you just said then, it's like trying to keep people happy. And like mums especially, this is a very, we try to do everything for everybody else to keep them happy, and we end up often feeling like a martyr, or we end up feeling resentful. And then we carry those feelings around with us, and we're blaming those other people for what's happening. And actually, I believe that underneath all that, we're actually resentful towards ourselves, because we've abandoned ourselves to keep these people happy, and we haven't really been there for ourselves. We haven't been supporting ourselves in that process. And so the inward looking, it's true, isn't it? It's like this.
I'm getting this line that we always joke about in Ireland, because the Irish mothers, they're so kind of committed. but then eventually when they get really annoyed, they say, and after everything I've done for you, you know,
Yes,
and it's
yes.
the inner resentments that actually they've been
Yeah.
giving themselves away, making everyone happy, then realize actually they've never been wanting to do it, and it's been a resentment building up. And it's kind of a joke in Ireland, you know.
Yeah, that's so true.
You know,
and it creates like guilt. We're shaming and we're making people feel guilty.
Yes.
Like all this stuff that's so toxic that
Yeah.
actually comes from our incapacity
Yeah.
to meet our own emotional needs, and not our fault. It's just that we haven't been taught. You know, we haven't been taught how to find the emotional need, which is what this is about, and then meet it. So the finding it is a little bit challenging if we haven't tried it before, because what might happen is we'll go, okay, I've got a feeling, and then we're feeling, and then we'll jump into our head and we'll go, oh, I wonder if that's about, and we start thinking about it, or we start processing it in our head. And it's like, to be able to come into the body and just feel. And I think we talked about this the other day, not even put a label on it just yet. What is this feeling in my body, and following the feeling, and I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that. And it can be scary, but the thing is, as you go into it, it's almost like there's a softening, and the discovery becomes so empowering, because you get right deep down into it. And that, when you start practicing that, it becomes very easy, to see what's really going on with you. And you can nip things in the bud. Like, I remember about a year ago, I was going to give a talk, and I must have been going somewhere different. It was quite a large room I was talking in front of, and I'm driving along, and I started to feel really anxious. And I'm like, oh, that's not like me, that's anxiety. And normally I just go, oh, you know, I'm anxious, and sort of brush it off. And then I'm like, no, well, why wouldn't I feel anxious? You know, that would be normal. That's a normal feeling. If you're just about to speak in front of a room of people, why wouldn't I feel anxious? And then it's like, I wonder what's underneath the anxiety. And it's like, oh, yeah. Oh, okay. So that's the little girl in me that's actually really scared of not being good. And I was really frightened of failure as a kid. And it was almost like all that was being activated in this moment as I headed towards this place I was speaking at. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's all about that. So when I actually found that emotional need of not being good enough, or feeling like I might be unworthy, you know, then I could actually do something about it. If I just focused on the anxiety and sort of gave myself tools for anxiety, I might have, made it a little bit less. I might have come to an acceptance around the anxiety, but like, why not actually go to the root cause and dissolve it? Like, because for me, as soon as I meet that need, the anxiety disappears.
Yeah, that's true.
That's like how powerful it is. Yeah.
Exactly. And how when you become aware of it, you know, that it's a pattern in yourself and that it's being activated. Yeah. And you're not just kind of giving yourself a tool or even breathing through it. Well, that can help, I guess, kind of tap into it or whatever, or be present with it, you know, being present with it. I suppose breathing is really great for that, because it stops you from, it helps you stay in the moment, you know, so that you can feel into it, you know, so you're not kind of, you know, turn the
Stay
radio
with it.
on,
That's true.
or because you know there's so many distractions. So like our life is full of distractions all the time, and you can easily distract yourself from doing that, you know. But like you said, it's the real goal when you know, I suppose what's really key as well is like when you do that, you're actually empowering yourself that you can take on more. So like, say, instead of you not addressing that and going and feeling anxious and maybe making an excuse not to even show up to the talk, when you go into it and you kind of really feel into it and you go through it and dissolve it, it means that you could actually end up, you say, oh, cool, that was easy when I did that. That was easy. I'd like to go on a bigger stage with more people. And you know, I could do this because I've walked through my fear, you know, that kind of way. I've dissolved it and I've overcome it, you know, because the only way to dissolve it is to kind of really to meet it and to go through it and to feel into it and to move past it, and then it kind of dissolves, you know, and then you become like that little bit larger in the world again, I think, you know.
Yeah, that's actually true. That's exactly what happens, because the emotion that is the emotional need is only there because we're not operating in that part of ourselves, that aspect of ourselves. It's almost like we've got these emotions that were shut down as children, and so there's like a darkness or a place that we're not operating, and because of that we feel we feel like there's something missing. We feel like there's a gap, there's an emptiness there, and that gets activated. So it's like, I'm not good enough. I don't have enough good enough. I'm not lovable. I don't have enough love. I feel insecure. I don't have enough security. So in those places where the emotions are locked down, it's like there's an empty cup there. And so there's a not enoughness there. And that is actually trapped energy. So when we go in and we feel that and we go, oh, that's not good enough, and we actually meet the need ourselves, it's almost like we can allow that to just open up, and we release that energy. So we release these emotions that we've held on to that have been blocking some of our potential for a long time. And as we sit with them and we allow them to just release and accept them and feel them, like really feel them, we do have more energy in our body, because it's no longer frozen or stuck or blocked or is whatever you want to call it, because we've allowed, there's energy that's come into our body from that process. So there is more of us here. We can feel more, and we do feel more empowered. We feel more present. We feel more alive. We feel so many amazing things just from feeling that, really feeling into it and going into it, really getting curious about what it is and allowing it to be there and just accepting its presence and then working with it. And what actually happens is we integrate that emotion. So rather than it causing this like separation, if you like, because this is a place we're not operating, or we don't want to go there because it's so painful, so we keep pushing it aside. Every time we feel it being activated, we push it away and we resist it. So there's this part of us over here, and then there's the rest of us here. So we've got a split, right? There's a part of us that's just not operating, and there's this big gap, and that feeling of there being something missing is because there are these parts of ourselves that are missing, that aren't operating. So when we actually open it up and we acknowledge it and we embrace it and we work with it and we release it, we integrated that emotional experience. And as we integrate, we really start to become part of this emerging process. As we emerge and we expand and we become more creative and we become more innovative. And it is quite miraculous, actually. Very simple. It's simple and quite miraculous.
Yeah, and it allows you to fulfill your potential, because there is a purpose for everybody here. It's very mapped out, and when you're on purpose, and you're living what you've been designed to do, And I think that when those emotional, I suppose, shadows nearly, or echoes, I always find when you move past them, like, you just get that it might be difficult at the time, but the payback is massive, because you've got, the reward then is that you're able to step into what you really want to do and what you came here to do, So it's really, really important. And thank you so much, Lisa, for explaining that key. And we'll go on to the next one next Monday. Again, we'll continue on this, and we'll be back on Wednesday for our feminine force. So delighted to have your company, and we absolutely love any comments and any suggestions for talks or anything like that going forward as well. Please put it in the comments, and like and share with anyone who's would be interested in the conversations that we're having here. Thank you so much, and thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Caroline, and thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
See you on Wednesday.